and welcome to The Studio Demands It. This is an exercise in creative thinking where we will challenge ourselves to conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film based on the stipulations of a hypothetical Hollywood overlord. I am your host, TC DeWitt, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Jim Bartholomew Brzellek. Hello, Jim. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Is that your middle name?
It is now.
It is now. I'll just change it every episode.
Yeah, sounds good.
Here we are, the first episode.
Yep.
Episode 0, likely.
Yep.
This may see the light today. Who knows? And since this is the first episode, is probably a good enough place as any to explain what the hell we're doing here.
I would think so. Yes.
I would assume we could explain it. I mean, I kind of gave my little pre-written intro.
It pretty much sums it up.
Okay.
But how are you gonna re-sum it up?
Well, so you and I like to talk about movies.
We do.
Yeah. In fact, my previous and current podcast, The Rewatchman, was created and just we did it because Ben and I would just talk about movies all the time for hours on end, and we're like, you know what? Just put a microphone between us.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
It's
here.
Mostly for us. Yeah. But we talk about movies all the time. And in particular, something I love doing with you is complain about movies and the choices that were made in certain properties and blockbusters. Like, we'll talk about horror movies. And we'll conceptualize films, but it's in particular like the IPs.
Oh yeah.
That were like, whoa.
Yeah. Why did you make that decision?
Was that a choice?
Yeah.
Who demanded that? Some producer at a level was like,
you know, it'd be cool.
What?
Giant spider.
It was, giant spider. It's exactly that. It's exactly that. And it was, and this is a subject matter we may return maybe down the road.
Yeah.
But it started with Star Trek Into Darkness.
It did.
We were watching Star Trek Into Darkness, which I do not like. I've softened on it over time.
Sure. It's a movie that sure is there. It's action packed. It's no original Wrath of Khan thematically,
but it sure wishes it was.
It really does.
And you posited the question to me. You're like, all right, well, what would you do? The studio says you have to do Wrath of Khan. Yep. How do you do it
in the new Star Trek?
And with the 2009 existing J.J. Abrams soft reboot. And what preceded was we talked the entire runtime of Star Trek Into Darkness conceptualizing a new movie.
Yeah.
That would have been so much better.
It would have been. I wanted to watch that movie.
I wanted to see that movie.
Yeah.
So that led to this creation of this concept that is now this podcast, where we're going to do that.
We're going to record it for posterity, so at the very least we can listen back and say how smart we are.
And and at the most, there's two scenarios. One, people will hear this and go, "Yeah, I like those guys' ideas," which will coincide nicely to my video series on YouTube. Steal This Idea. So a little self-plug there.
Oh, I like that, yeah.
The alternative is that there will be time travelers and dimension hoppers who steal our ideas and make them in a universe we'll never get to see.
Yeah. Oh,
that's
it's a sad. That's a sad option.
Yeah.
Because I want to see them.
So
and let's not dwell on other realities who get better movies than us.
I'm just gonna pick. This is something we could talk from time to time. We will get to the topic of the episode.
Quantum physics. You want to just tangent into quantum physics?
I'm gonna pitch a movie to you.
Oh, okay.
Because it would be there. Okay, so Ready Player One came out.
Yeah,
we're not doing an episode on Ready Player One, but
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, but have you read the book? You're aware of it? Okay,
I'm aware of it. That's my knowledge.
The pop culture cow. It's just milk. Mm-hmm. Like reference, get it, reference, get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Please tell me every reference is somehow said in bold type with the character turning toward the camera.
Get it? I got it. It's fine. It's a cool book. It's an okay movie. Spielberg phoned in. That's not the point. But I'm going to pitch it to you. Could you conceptualize a film where a struggling filmmaker steals movie ideas from alternate dimensions?
Yes.
So the first...
Yes. Instantly. Okay. Yes, I can.
So this is how it started. It would start out first like finding the sliders-like ability to travel into the alternate dimension and be like, holy cow. And this would be such an indie idea because with that ability, you could change the world. You could affect the socio-political politics of the world over it. He's like, you know what I can do now that I can do this? I can see Indiana Jones starring Tom Selleck. I can go see that movie. And so they go see movies that were like the what if Stallone had been the Terminator, or what if O.J. Simpson had been the Terminator, like those movies. And then advancing that idea to, I could just
redo that movie as that
in my dimension.
Yeah.
Right? And so I guess in a sense that's tangentially connected to what this podcast is.
Yeah.
Alternate dimension movie ideas.
Yeah.
And under the stipulation of like a studio saying, no, you have to do Wrath of Khan.
The thing is, I'm trying to imagine the conceit of that movie or TV show or just story.
Yeah.
Right? Like Last Action Hero had the golden ticket that took him into the movie, and that was really cool. Yeah. But I'm imagining something like that, like this guy goes to a movie and he's all alone in the theater, and that, like, for whatever reason, that's what transported him.
Sherlock Holmes Jr.'s into the screen.
Yeah.
It would be I would do it at a level of like Safety Not Guaranteed, or at
sure,
like something indie, like really indie.
Yeah.
But the only way you could do that is with hundreds of $1 million to get those IPs.
Yeah.
Right. Because
I think, okay, talking about us making that and not just conceptualizing this kid playing around with all the IPs. And I think it'd be a lot of fun would be doing not satires, but not full lampoons, but like
homage.
Yeah, that kind of thing, right? Like
Con Man is not really about Firefly, but it's pretty much about Firefly.
Yeah, like that. So like if you were to see The Predator or Predator, would any of the Predator movies, the IP of Predator, in the movie he would see would be like The Hunter. The alien has come from space, and right. So you get to do your kind of quote unquote remake while also homaging to the actual thing. And
would that be as fulfilling though, to see John Clyde Van Damme playing the bug alien predator?
I think
The Hunter
a little bit.
The Hunter, not a good title.
No, not at all.
Would it be as good? Would it be as cool seeing the homage ref? Because then you're asking the audience to go, "Oh, I know what that is," as opposed to just straight up saying, "No, this is Tom Selleck as Indiana Jones." Right? Like, it's because that was the problem with Ready Player One. It turned into this whole get it, and that's often the times a problem with a lot of movies like that.
Well, I guess that's if what I know about Ready Player One is true, because they actually got access to so many IPs. Mm-hmm. I think that's actually why they leaned on that to say, look at the thing we got. Whereas with this, it'd be a matter of making something that is close enough to identify. Mm-hmm. And the word, I can't think of the word.
Lawnmowers.
Yeah, lawnmowers. Something that's close enough to identify, because then you also need to film it in a way that captures the spirit of it and captures everything to make people identify it as such. Okay. But then at the same time, not poignantly, but pointedly, that's the word, pointedly show your changes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think this would be a movie to really have to chart this one out to figure out what's the actual arc of the movie versus how many references you put into it. But look at us talking movies, pitches. This is what this whole show is going to be.
It is.
Yeah. I'm so excited because my voice is getting higher.
It is. That's what happens.
Jim, I'm so excited.
Yeah. TC's never been more excited.
So we do talk movies all the time, and we do complain about the choices made by certain blockbusters. And of course, like the good nerds that we are, we just assume we could do better.
We can.
Even with the demands and restrictions that clearly had to be put on this film by some producer. Giant Spider, give me Giant Spider. Jimmy Olsen's gay. We're going to just keep referencing Kevin Smith's Superman. That's it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So, but why, who the hell are we? Well, I'm a writer. You're a writer.
Yep.
You've directed.
Filmmakers, yeah.
We are filmmakers, and we've both acted, we've produced, we've been involved in filmmaking and storytelling in general. That's what our degrees are in.
Yep.
So I'm not saying we know what we're talking about, but we don't not know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we just love movies.
I really do.
Okay. So
I would marry them if I could.
So where to begin? I have a ridiculous pile of we're going to draw randomly. So that's
Yep.
another challenge of this movie is we're not coming in prepared for anything. We are drawing from a hat, essentially,
Yep.
a virtual hat to decide what we're going to discuss.
This whole thing's going to be improv.
And ideally, as we do this, we would love for our listeners to contribute. So if you're listening to this and you have opinions about what we're saying.
Yeah, like if you get the gist of it and you have what you think would be a fun idea, let us know.
Yeah. And if we pitch an idea you think is any good and you have the means to let us make it so. So with that said, we're going to randomly select one, right?
Yeah.
And today, all right, I'm just going
to mix it up there.
This makes good audio.
It really does.
Especially because I'm literally just waving my hand in the air. Okay, so because this is episode 0, because I want to softball this, because we've already kind of broached the subject on this, the studio, and because this is a property that we are going to get next year. Okay? The studio is demanding another Die Hard.
Oh, no.
So the studio is demanding another Die Hard, Jim.
Yeah, yes, it is.
And it is now our responsibility to give the studio what they want. Okay.
Great. Yeah.
Now,
and it's going to be Die Hard 6, right?
It'll be Die Hard 6. Now, are you aware that there's one coming out?
I was not aware there's one coming out.
There is one coming out. As it is understood right now, there's not too much known about it, but as of recording, what we do know is that Die Hard 6 is going to take place in the past of John McClane's career. Say that 5 times. Before the Nakatomi building.
Okay.
And after current. So you're going to get bored, just phoning it in, clearly doesn't give a damn Bruce Willis playing old grizzled John McClane.
Yeah.
Right? Phoning it in. That guy does not care anymore. It's so depressing. And a young John McClane, I'll just assume is played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yes, that is the assumption.
And some case that he had in his young career is now affecting him in his retirement career, and it'll be the Godfather 2 of Die Hard movies. The Die Father, God Hard. Hard Father? No, let's not call it Hard Father. Okay, so as I'm understanding, that is what they're gonna do.
Okay.
Now, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't want that.
No.
And it's particularly because I don't think Bruce Willis cares anymore. So my question to you is, is the studio demanding that Bruce Willis be in this movie? Do you think they are? Like, you can't have a Die Hard without Bruce Willis.
I think so.
Okay.
Because the notion of that, the reason you don't just reboot it entirely, is because you're banking on audiences wanting to see the face they know as John McClane.
Right. You can't. He's so definitively John McClane, despite the fact that Die Hard 5 is one of the most offensive movies. Not like, it's not offensive in like, you know what I mean? It's as a moviegoer sitting there and witnessing that film, I was offended that it existed. Like, who decided this? Who said Jai Courtney's a thing? Who paid Bruce Willis to come in here? Who wrote this garbage? I was so mad at that movie. I hate that movie. Oh, Jim, I'm so mad. Okay, sorry. I have ranted on this in a previous podcast with Jeff Bell over at Ghost Head. If you want to hear me go to town on Die Hard 5. But the studio is asking for a Die Hard 6. Okay. So Bruce Willis is going to have to be in it.
6.
I don't think they're asking for a young and old Bruce Willis. They're just saying Bruce Willis has got to be in Die Hard 6. Let's just start there. What do you do? Where do you go with this?
All right. So this might not be conducive to thing, but I have to admit and then ask for a very quick summation of Die Hard 5.
No!
I know it takes place in foreign country land.
Yeah, yippee-ki-yay, Mother Russia.
It is Russia, okay.
Yeah.
And I know it involves his son.
Yeah.
Like his son is like a CIA guy.
John Jack McClane Jr.
John Jack McClane Jr.
Yeah.
He's a CIA guy now? Is that what it is?
All right, so you goddamn it.
I just real quick sum up, and then
Jack Courtney plays Jack. Jack is he's CIA, but he's undercover, sort of Departed style, or like maybe he is, maybe he isn't.
Okay.
And he has to break this war criminal out of his trial and is now a criminal himself. And John is going to go to Russia to get his son and bring him home.
Sure.
Because it's gone too far. He needs to be brought home. So John shows up.
I already have questions, but I'm not going to ask them.
Finds Jack. They get caught up in this whole who's the bad guy? Oh, we got to protect this guy, this war criminal from the bad guys. Oh, lo and behold, he's actually the bad guy. Oh, lo and behold, we actually are stealing gold from Chernobyl. And
so it still does have the earmarks of a Die Hard movie.
Yes, and honestly, there could have been a good movie here, but it is so poorly done. Like John McClane is the ugliest American he could possibly be. I got to get my son. Grabs a guy, yanks him out of his car, punches him in the face. The guy's yelling, says, "Speak English!" And he gets in the car. He drives the guy's big old truck over vehicles, crushing them to catch his son.
Sure. Clearly, you are a big fan of this movie.
Oh, I love it.
So it hits the Die Hard. That's what I need to know. I need to know that the franchise not watermarks just keystones are maintained, right?
They're there,
it's the bad guys, their plot is somewhat political, but then it turns out that's just a cover for some sort of robbery, albeit on a grand scale.
Yeah.
The bad guys are definitively foreign dudes that they got to mess with. They say yippee-ki-yay at some point in there. Yeah. There are McClane and or I guess his son at this point creatively kill bad guys because the materials available to them are not underwhelming. That's not the word. But they are under-equipped to deal with the situation because they're thrust into a scenario.
Yeah. So yes, you're right. The earmarks are they're all there. It's just executed,
and it's in Russia, right? So it's Police Academy in Russia. Die Hard. Gotcha. Cool. So how do we one up from that?
Well, can I pitch what I would do?
Yes.
Okay. So I've thought of this previously. This is ever since I saw Die Hard 5 and was like, yeah. Right. This is what I do. You've seen Die Hard 4.
Yes.
You actually admitted before you liked Die Hard 4. Okay.
I admitted I didn't hate it.
Okay. I like it. I like Die Hard 4.
Okay.
I think it's fun. It's a fun action movie. Is it really a good Die Hard movie? No, because John McClane was better as the everyman, not the invincible juggernaut they turned him into. But Lucy McClane is introduced in Die Hard 4, and she's a tenacious young lady, right?
Yep.
My pitch for Die Hard sequel would be follow her.
Okay.
Stick her in a scenario. She's working in her office building, and and some sort of takeover of the building happens. We're recreating Die Hard 1 where she's the wrong person in the wrong place at the wrong time, right?
Okay.
And John is the Al character. He sees on the news that his daughter's building has been taken over.
Sure.
He goes down there, and now he's the man on the street talking her through the adventure.
Okay, that was even better where I was initially. So I was thinking he would play like a hostage character who, like, at every turn, he's the one who smarmily says, "That's my girl," kind of thing, as like the terrorists are getting upset, like, "Oh, what's wrong?" Yeah,
put him in the Holly position.
Yeah, but in the Al position is even better.
I'd put Justin Long in the Holly position because then you get Justin Long being
there.
Cheeky.
You go.
Like, he's great. Like, he's got a good sense of humor. He's an established character. Stick him as the damsel in the movie.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
And so, okay, a building, maybe that's too derivative. Okay, then I would go, and this would be verging into some poignancy. Maybe a school campus, like some sort of university. Okay. Now this is delving into like active shooters and real campuses today, so it might be insensitive to turn it into this hero story.
I like sort of the coming back around to the beginning. I like the idea of a big tower. Okay,
and we're not talking skyscraper rock like an impossible sci-fi tower.
No,
like, stick it in
just an office tower,
because this allows you to really lampshade some stuff. To have Lucy say something like, I think it's the second movie. John says, "How can the same? Look, I'm in another air duct. How does the same shit happen to the same guy 2 times in a row?" Right?
Yeah.
Lucy could have something to that capacity in her dialogue of like, how is this family so cursed that I'm in an air duct, in an elevator shaft, in a building, taken out, right? I would this meet the studio demands? We got Bruce Willis in it.
As of the demands that was initially put out, John McClane must have Bruce Willis's face.
Yeah.
Yes, this meets the demands. I think having him as the assist on the street, you can cut to him enough that he is an active, effective participant, which doesn't just sideline the character. Right, because you're gonna be able to get him doing all of his classic stuff of like smart ass remarks to the other cops when they show up, the FBI when they show up, all that kind of stuff, and you're gonna have that sort of fun back and forth. So I think that's a great place to put John, and then we get to see someone new in the role, but they're still a McClane, right? So you can't complain that it's just it's a Joe whoever. It's kept in the family, as gross as that kind of is. It's still it keeps it in tradition, right? Tradition.
And it's Lucy. Lucy is a far more compelling character from Die Hard 4 than Jack was, which you didn't see Die Hard 5, but it's Jai Courtney. I mean, what more do I need to say in terms of a vapid void of lack of charisma? Thanks for listening, Jai. Good, yeah.
Winning over listeners.
Okay, so now the studio might not demand this because it might be something to the effect of, no, this got to be Bruce Willis's movie, and I think it can be. I think we
made a great movie. Now we got to remake it a different way.
Right. This kind of has the cliches of what Hollywood's been doing anyway. Reboot a series, sorta. Ignore sequels that don't matter. Right. You put a female lead in a traditionally male in a reboot, like much like the much maligned Star Wars reboots or soft reboots have been, by sticking Rey in such a powerful position as a central character. I think this would be something that could make money. I think that you could make it a lower budget movie because the stakes are lower. It doesn't need to be stop the nukes from going off, or even Die Hard 4 of the wiping out the financial, all the electricity,
fire sale.
Yeah. Which is cool, but pulling back allows for more character work, which is what the first Die Hard was so good for.
Yeah.
But do the studios care?
Well, right. That's almost the crux of what we're talking about. What I know of the studios, they want the thing that's going to give them the biggest return. I think doing a Nakatomi 2 is kind of a great idea.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. Right, to me, it's a returning to your roots kind of thing.
Die Hard legacy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But the whole notion of if there's a bomb, it has to be deactivated with 1 second left. Anything else, just you lose out on tension, right? I don't know. I don't have them at hand, but I'm pretty sure like marketing studies have been done that the stakes must be high. It can't ever be, for the neighborhood or even countryside. It has to, the stakes need to be the world is in danger.
Well, it needs to escalate from the one before it.
Yeah.
There's studies have shown that you can't de-escalate the stakes, which I disagree with, because I think,
me too.
I think certain franchises have proved that. If you look at I think Marvel's good for that, where you can go from something like Infinity War and then follow it up with Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is much smaller stakes. And
one could argue that that's looking at, for example, Marvel as one continuing storyline, and that they are de-escalating from there. But I think they're escalating from Avengers. They haven't come down from Avengers. Ant-Man has escalated from the first one to the second one.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So in regards to that,
I'm wrong.
I hate to argue with you.
No, that's what we're here for, Jim.
I'm crazy curious to see where they're going to go after Thanos.
Oh, right.
How? Because, well, actually, we've discussed that before too. That's probably in the pot for what we're going to discuss later.
We do for
I probably shouldn't say much more about that. But we've had ideas. But I think so. Actually, let's speak to that point. How do you de-escalate? And that's kind of what it seems we're saying you need to do with Die Hard, or what we would want to do. And I think the way to do that is to not just reset the stakes of what's at stake. Right. You can't just take John McClane, who has fought off countries worth of bad guys.
Yeah. International terrorists.
And then say, and now it's another 6 dudes in an office building.
Right.
So the way you do that is what you suggested. Make it another character, somewhat related to the first one, so it's not just no one out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And have that first character be there as the sage, right? Having them
the mentor. Yeah. He's Al. He's seen him through. He's the shoulder for her to lean on, and the voice on the other side of the microphone.
And you get a whole new re-upping. You basically get a whole new franchise that's built on the old one,
on Lucy,
to rebuild.
And it's de-escalated where you don't have to get like, okay, well, we got to go to space in this one because we've escalated to that point.
Frankly, that's what Star Wars has done, right? That's Rey didn't start at the power level of Luke Skywalker as a Jedi Master. She started all over as a kid living in a desert.
Yeah, just brought it back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm. But still referencing and bringing back those characters, having them be mentor-esque characters that show up again.
Mm-hmm.
So Star Wars did it.
That's our pitch. Listen, studio. Listen, studio. Star Wars did this. We're going to get away with it, right?
That's always a good way to pitch a thing, right?
Trust us. Star Wars did. I like this idea. Obviously, I'm the one who pitched it. I like this idea, but it's a much more interesting film. It lends itself to, I feel a scenario like this lends itself to wanting to see it again, as opposed to just dumb, explosive, just set piece after set piece.
Sure.
Having the relationship between John and Lucy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having the similarities to the first one, but finding new ways to approach it. Which actually let's talk about that next. I'm interested in that because it brings it back to more of a character piece that first one was. That first one is a great, fun action movie, but it has some depth to these characters. Like they aren't just action hero. Even the bad guys are memorable in their own way.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
And that can't even be said about the rest of the Die Hards. I think maybe Die Hard 2 I can think of what 3 of the bad guys look like. In Die Hard 3, I can think of the blonde lady that Simon is hooked up with.
Oh, I forgot about her. Yeah, I remember Jeremy Irons, right?
And then 4, there's Maggie Q and
Timothy
Olyphant, and then there's the geeky computer guy.
So one of the reasons 4 sort of won me over from just disliking it entirely was when they finally revealed that it's another robbery on the grandest of scales,
America.
But Timothy Olyphant won me over in that role.
He's so good. The way he clenches his jaw when he talks, everything he talks is through his teeth. He's so pissed.
He is.
Bullock. What's his character from Justified? I never watched it. It's Timothy
Rayland. Was that his name? Let's just dwell on this for a while. Rayland.
There's no way to find out.
None.
I don't have any. There's no means. There needs to be some sort of like a way.
Some sort of a digital interface where we could look up information.
Just oodles and oodles of information. Like could we call it oodle?
Let's call it oodle. That's actually a really good name for it.
Cool. All right.
Like yeah.
Okay. All right. This is what I want to do here. I want to take a quick break. We're going to come back. I want to throw some more studio demands at you. And see where we go from there.
Sounds good.
That's cool. So here's a quick little ad.
All right.
Go.
Hi there, I'm David.
And I'm Kate.
And we're the hosts of Another Zelda podcast.
There are so many good podcasts out there, and some of them in particular concern The Legend of Zelda.
That's right, Kate, and we are another one of them. That is actually the name of our show, Another
Yes.
Zelda Podcast.
And in our show in particular, we talk about some of our favorite dungeons, characters, boss battles. We have top 10 lists.
Yeah, we do deep dives on game design and production aspects of the different Zelda games.
And we talk about our own experiences. We do some review episodes, talk about our challenges, our struggles, and our victories.
That's right. Really just almost anything that has to do with Zelda, we like to talk about it. A new episode comes out every other Friday, and you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube.
And you can also check out our episodes on our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com.
That's right. All right, we will see you there.
Okay, bye.
Like the more I think about it, I should probably be recording well.
We are recording right now.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect then. The more I think about it, the more I really like that idea, right? Because you get to like reset, but still have all the thing that made John McClane so wonderful is that he knew the basics, right? He was a trained cop and all that, but really it's that he's plucky.
Yes.
And he's tenacious.
Oh, here's this.
Right? Like that's sort of the point. And then by you can't have his son be the new one because you ruined him because he's trained.
Yeah.
Right? He is a professional. This is what he does. He's just gonna James Bond or XXX his way through these terrorist robbers.
Right. Could you imagine a scenario where Lucy went into the police academy and decided, no, I'm not going to follow my father's footsteps. So she has or just self-defense, like something that makes her just a little capable, because John's not incapable.
Sure.
He is a police officer with training in that first one. He's just not a super soldier.
Yeah.
Giving Lucy some sort of background. It could just be the fact that, hey, it's a good thing I made you take all those self-defense classes. Am I right?
God, when you say it like that, it sounds terrible. But that was the angle I actually kind of preferred.
Yeah.
Was that her training more comes from the family she has? Like John has literally gone through this 4 times now.
Demanded it. Yes.
Five
four.
times.
Four.
Five?
Only four.
Only 4.
Racing
Yeah.
5. I demanded. Okay. So yeah, she has just that.
I think it sort of raises the stakes a bit if she has to kind of learn on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you could have a whole scene where she manages to get her hands on. This might be too much, but I'll say it anyway.
Yeah.
Where she gets her hands on a gun and her dad John has to explain how to use it over the phone. That's too much, actually. Even as I say that out loud, right? McClane's daughter is going to know how to use a gun.
I know how to use a gun. Yeah.
But like a scene like something like that where he has to walk her through a thing she might not necessarily know how to do.
Yeah. Setting C4.
There you go.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Like, all right, what you can do is you can take the explosive, you're going to put it in the thing, just mash it all in. It's like Play-Doh. Is this thing going to go off my hands? No, it's not going to go off your hands. You're just going to throw it down the elevator shaft. Trust me, it'll work. I do a terrible Bruce Willis. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Come to the coast, have a few laughs. No, I'm not going to try. I did try. I'm not going to try again. Jeff, where are you? Okay, so here's the question, though. Because the studio approves. The studio thinks this is a good way to go. The fear here now is some of the backlash that occurs in similar soft reboots like this. One of the biggest complaints is Force Awakens. It's just the same thing all over again. And we are clearly in that area. So what can we do to satisfy any fears, to relieve any fears that
it's not just the same thing?
Yeah. I have a suggestion, but let's see if anything pops your mind. Just me throwing it at right now. You're thinking as I talk at you.
Something to make, because right now I'm liking the idea of kind of revisiting all of the same things through the lens of a new character. I don't know if it needs to go all the way down to how does Lucy deal with running through broken glass?
Right.
But I kind of like the idea of similar beats.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that's a safe way to go, and I think the audiences have proved they're willing to accept that. When you look at something, I'm sorry to keep going back to Star Wars, but they're the best example of this, of rebooting something. Or we'll look at the 2009 Star Trek, right?
Sure.
playing on very standard, similar beats to other things, and being okay with it.
Yeah.
I think that there's a respectful way to do this, and there's a lazy, stupid way to do this. I
Sure.
think Die Hard 5 is a great example of a lazy, stupid way of doing callbacks.
Yeah.
Don't kill the guy by like literally recreating the shot of Hans Gruber falling. Like
they did
yeah,
that?
like literally recreate it. Except he doesn't fall to the ground. He falls into a helicopter blade. It's
like in Last Boy Scout.
oh god,
Another Bruce Willis movie.
Damn you, Bruce Willis. You know what has happened this one? You should.
Hey, when I saw that when I was like 14, that was amazing.
All right, so here's a suggestion I want to throw at you since we're in the writer's room here. The assumption that this is a robbery the entire time. Could there be like John's I've been through this. This is not a terrorist situation. They're not doing this for any other means. It's always a robbery. It's just a bigger Death Star. There's always a way to blow it up. This is just a robbery. And John trying to tell the cops the entire time, telling Lucy, just figure out what their goal is. What are they trying to get, and stop them from getting that. And then being wrong.
Turn it on its head where the robbery is the cover
for
the actual political
Make the robbery the cover for whatever the actual crime is.
That's not bad.
Like, spend the whole movie all just calling it what it is. This is everything but saying this is a Die Hard movie. They're robbers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're doing. And then, okay, I'll even add a little more here. Let me twist some knobs here. Having the cronies believing it's a robbery the whole time. And then, so similarly in Die Hard 4, Timothy Olyphant uses all those guys to rob the United States, and then he kills them all. They're all thinking they're in on the final cash in, but they're not. So similarly, could our big bad be, this is a robbery. We're pretending it's a terrorist thing. It's actually a robbery, but then he's been lying the whole time, and it's actually something else. That we're turning the tables 3 times, but is there a way to effectively do that to give the audience something refreshing in that final act, the final turn to be all Lucy's, so that we can anticipate what's going to happen through all this, because we are basically recreating the first Die Hard. We're giving the audience exactly what they're expecting. How do we come up with an ending that isn't the exact same thing to surprise the folks? That's what the studio's asking you now.
I'm willing to explore that. I don't have an idea off the top of my head, and it does the risk there is one too many twists,
right?
Twist on a twist,
which is a problem in Die Hard 6. Sorry, Die Hard 5. In Die Hard 5, there's too many twists.
Okay,
right? Like, you don't even know who the freaking bad guy is, and it's not this one, that's this one, and then they didn't even have the shot of the girl taking her shirt off that was in the trailer in the movie. There's all these twists, Jim. All these twists. So where?
Short answer. Yeah, that's great. I think, let's see. What do I do? I think, that's where, you can incorporate more of Justin Long, right? His character, already a conspiracy theorist,
a hacker, right? I mean, he'd be amped up in a conspiracy theory.
He was a hacker. He was a conspiracy nut as well, right?
Yeah, he was in that. You know what the government's doing? You think they really spent that much money on a toilet seat? Which I know is a quote from a different movie, but that's sneakers that I'm just.
That is.
But yeah, he already has that sort of like anti-government attitude, and that would be enhanced from his experiences previously.
Yeah, so I think that you can utilize him for that sort of that second twist. Like so you do the sort of the standard thing with John giving advice from the outside, and then finally, Justin Long has been trying to contact Lucy because he's in the Holly role, so he knows the only one person can make someone that mad.
They've totally broken up at this point, by the way. They are not.
That's how you would. That's how you would do it.
I mean, because John and Holly were together, or do you want the? Let's have them.
See, I think it. Personally, I think it'd be more fun that they are together and it's fine. And actually, that could be even some of the banter between Lucy and John.
He doesn't like Justin Long's character. Okay, I like that.
By the end of 4, they were okay with each other, though, right? I don't remember for sure.
He's like, "What'd she say about me?" And he's like, "Pump the brakes, hot shot." Like, and then, did he ask about me? Oh, come on! Like, he's just come on! Like, so having him not like.
Yeah.
Hey, there's something better.
And so then,
Yeah.
so John helps Lucy through most of it, but then we get to sort of this new turn, and that's where Justin Long's character has to kind of almost comes in and not takes over the John McClane role, but like facilitates the new twist, because that's actually, that story is even going to go along with his character's not motives, but just what that character's about, right? John McClane's about stopping the dudes from getting the money,
Stop the bad guys.
yeah. And whereas Justin's character is going to follow these more convoluted paths, so he's gonna help there with that third act twist.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm willing to go with that. I'm okay with that, but I don't want to put him into the forefront. I think the twist on him would be he's the one who figures out the real story. Like he's the movement from the second act,
right?
Towards the climax.
Because he's a hostage there, and so he's getting all of their information.
So then, and we're playing. I definitely think this movie should be played much. We will have much more room for humor, right?
Sure.
Like there's plenty of room here to have the way the relationships are, the natural banter of the original John McClane. Having Justin Long's character, I think his name's Matt, so I should look it up. Having Matt figure out the real what the hell's going on, and yeah, go ahead. What the hell's going on is now you have Justin Long's Matt character trying to tell Lucy what's going on, and John trying to tell her what's going on, and both of them are inundating her with like, "No, do this, no, do this, no, do this," because then that leads her.
I like that. Like both of you, shut
up. I got this, right? Because and I obviously we are two. Matt. It is Matt. Okay, cool. It is. We are two cis white male straight dudes. Like we obviously aren't in the. We shouldn't be sitting here talking about women's empowerment or not. But I'm an ally for that. I know you're an ally for that, and I think that's what this movie will offer more than anything is motorcycles driving by while we record. Is especially that moment. Give the twist. We now have a third act. We don't know what to expect because it's completely different. And we have the two male characters trying to tell her like it is. And she says, more or less within the dialogue, stop. This is my movie now. We're not following John. Sure. I'm not going to let my boyfriend, who I have a very loving relationship with, a very fantastic relationship. No, she's just everything's set aside. And our climax of this movie, it's the Lucy McClane show, even going so far as, after that moment of like, shut up, losing the walkie-talkie, losing the cell phone. Like she doesn't even have any connection to the outside the building anymore. She is on her own and she's going to save the day.
Yeah, I like that.
And I think that,
I actually do think that's still even mirrored in the original Die Hard with the FBI trying to tell John what to do and stuff like that. Yeah.
So there you go. That's I think. Oh man, I want to see this movie.
Yeah. Actually, really do.
Now. Okay, we're going to bring it all the way back to the movie we know we're getting. Okay. So, the movie we're getting is Die Hard 6. Young John McClane did something early in his career, pre-Nakatomi, and now it's affecting him in retirement. And he's got to go back to that one last case, that first case one last time, however you want to go. Right. Is there a way to honor that if the studio is requesting some sort of past-future scenario to absorb in this plot? I am not saying I do not want to see us jumping back and forth through time, but a very short prologue to set something up.
Yeah, actually, young John McClane, gets some sort of, not necessarily a mob bust, but something like some sort of like I'm thinking like a foreign mob bust, like they stopped some big shipment, some illegal shipment or something, and someone got killed in the crossfire, something like that. This is going to feel a bit like Die Hard 3.
Hey, homage, baby.
Yeah,
that's what it's intentional, deliberate.
And so at the time, right, sort of just another thing that happened on the case. So there's no reason that John would dwell on it. There's no reason it would have ever come up in the previous 5 movies. It's not until this one where it turns out it kind of comes back, and that's why John is following a lead. That's what takes him to the building that his daughter is at.
not her being in danger and him just seeing it on TV and I got to get down there and help my daughter.
That does feel really McClane-ish.
Yeah. This is a tough.
It's a combination. It's a combination. Anyway, I'll finish what I say. So the whoever got killed, the criminal that got killed back then,
back in the 70s,
was related to that mob was related to several decades later. Someone who wants to get revenge, right?
Okay.
Something like that.
So we are. Yes, you're right. I see the similarities between Hans and Simon. But
and
then
so you can do this sort of flashback about that to lay that groundwork, so that later on when it comes up, Matt is able to find out through his secret working on a computer while no one's looking.
His Palm Pilot.
Yeah, there you go. Oh God. He finds out that the leader of this heist group. Oh, he's actually related to this, and that's your dad's old case. And oh no, he's actually here to get his hands on you, to get his hands on your dad, because it's a revenge plot kind of thing. We were
almost there.
Okay.
To go through that much effort to take over a building or to go after Lucy, I think that's too Die Hard.
Too supervillain.
It's too supervillain.
Oh,
This is where the struggle comes in, trying to figure out something from his past that could affect his present day. Because let's okay. The villain connection is probably the simplest way to do this. Who's our villain? Do we go so far as to make a female villain as well? Die Hard's not had a female villain. They've had female side, like Maggie Q is a great sidekick villain, henchwoman.
We can.
But now
my only like you mentioned earlier, maybe I'm not being sensitive enough to the notion of trying new things. But to me, that smacks too much of we're just switching everyone.
Okay, actually, this is great. We can throw this to the peanut gallery real quick.
Okay.
So the peanut gallery, we have to go. Candace. Do you think in a Die Hard 6, Lucy should go up against a male or a female bad guy?
Duh. Oh, you mean which sex?
Which sex would be?
I say Lucy's a duh.
Yeah.
Either one.
Okay. All right.
All right.
I think
trying too hard by switching it. I think.
Yeah, I think we stick with a guy, like make it a male villain. Although to be fair, if we write
let's
a male,
actually,
it's twins.
Actually,
they're twins.
You're Die Hard 4 again.
Oh wait, Die Hard 4 again to have
because they were siblings.
Who
Weren't they?
were siblings?
Jeremy Irons and Hans Gruber.
Oh no. Okay, we had talked about one villain revealing that his motives are completely different. Well, if we have twin brother and sister as our main villains, their intents could be completely different in the long run.
Oh, okay.
Okay. They are not Grubers, for the love of God. We cannot go back to that well. But I don't know. What do you think? Like a pair of twin villains. I mean, a male and a female. Then we get them both. This is we're in some like muddy waters here because I don't have any concepts beyond the setup. All the plot points we've been discussing we could write a whole movie on this.
Yeah.
But the linchpin of this whole thing is who's the bad guy and what are they doing and why are they doing it? And honestly, I don't know if making a male or female in this point of the conversation does it even matter, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure it matters. Period.
Yeah. So then the question is, what is the villain? We can go in terms of they. What do they want? What is do you think there is something in that whole, hey, we're taking over this building because we're holding these people hostage for political reasons? No, it's actually a robbery. No, it's actually this. Like,
well, and then what is this?
What is the yes? That's what I'm asking. Is what how do we satisfy it?
Okay, I get just spitballing. Because it's going to have to be a clandestine plan to just the masterminds that even their henchmen don't know about.
Right.
So you pull a little bit from Die Hard 4 and all of those henchmen, they're there just to die.
They're disposable.
But not to get rid of so that I get all the money. It's literally that's their plot. So they're wanting to set up a scenario where the authorities, the government, maybe they want to create a situation where they go too far. They're basically not scapegoats. They're a sacrifice.
Yes.
They're sacrificing their henchmen for a greater purpose to say, hey, look at how terrible your authorities are. And that's the motive they're going for. And if they get a little cash in the process, that's fine.
That could be fun. There it is. It's a robbery. Like the assumption that it's a robbery all along could be accurate, except that they aren't stealing money. They're stealing information. If it's and this is where kind of Matt's angle comes into play, because he is people need to know the truth. I'm not saying he's in crazy ass InfoWars territory, because Matt's a good guy, but he is in that whole I don't trust the government angle.
Mm-hmm.
If the big bad guy's motive in the end is to steal and release information, like WikiLeaks, Snowden, like. To just reveal the truth of like all these redacted documents or something. Because then Lucy could work in a government building. No.
It might be personal politics, but I don't like the idea of demonizing opening information.
Okay. All right. I ventured down the avenue to see how it tastes.
Well, because there are definitely people out there who think it is a bad idea. Like, oh, how dare you release important secrets?
Yeah. Okay. Well, how about?
I'm not saying that we should. It's
Tyler Durden route. They're just erasing all the credit card.
Sure, like
the student debt,
like a reverse robber.
Yeah, they're stealing all the student debt. I'm trying to free you all from student debt.
No, I need this albatross around my neck.
So obviously you can tell.
I like the idea of them. Not trying to trying to manipulate the truth is an angle I like. Like they're trying to manipulate the narrative.
Right.
That to me is more interesting than just, oh, you got some secret documents that say you're dirty, I'm going to release them, and I'm the bad guy. You're the dirty one.
Right.
So instead, I like the idea more that you're trying to do the right thing, and I'm going to do this thing that then makes you look bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what our character is trying to ultimately stop.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. The studio is satisfied. So actually let's go back to the whole point of what this series is going to be, which is like honoring the studio's demands. Let's imagine this all took place in the conversation before they made Die Hard 5. All right. Die Hard 5, we got to have Bruce Willis back. We got to have his child involved in the action. We have to have follow the earmarks of Die Hard. It's a robbery. It's political, but it's not really political. Sure. It's a robbery. Paring it down, I think, is not exactly what the studio was looking for in terms of Die Hard 5.
Sure.
But I think we're giving them what they want in terms of a balls out action movie with the one F-bomb that could be PG-13, because the previous ones were all rated R. So the studio demanded Die Hard 5, and we've come up with one way better than the one they gave us.
Sure. Yeah.
And then you could franchise from there. You've said it earlier. This is the beginning of something new, with Lucy as our centralized character. So I think the studio would be satisfied with what we've offered here.
If I was a studio, I'd be satisfied.
Let's make this.
I want to see this movie now.
So what else is there to discuss about Die Hard? This is what's going to happen, Jim. Every time we do an episode, we were going to end the episode and continue to talk about the topic.
Okay, sounds good.
It happens every time I do one of these.
Well, right. Did we dot all of our I's and cross all of our T's? I don't think we actually addressed all of the Die Hard isms. Like the one we didn't talk about was the notion of using technology, like new technology. Because one of the things that in every Die Hard is, the bad guy's using some computers. They're computers. John doesn't get the computers. He has to just punch his way through the computers. Because in the end, that's what's better than computers.
Well, let's go into the Die Hard tropes now. But first, I will say I think our villain's our weak point. We don't have a solid idea of what to do with this villain, and even though I put it out there that the studio's asking for what they're doing in Die Hard 6, which is some sort of John McClane past thing coming back to haunt him, I don't know how to reconcile that, at least here on the spot. We may come up with something later, but here in this episode, in this recording, that I think is our weakest point right now, is our villain.
Mhm.
And a Die Hard movie is the strength of the Die Hard movie. The best ones have the best villains. Like Hans Gruber is one of the all-time greatest movie villains. But I think the strength of Die Hard 3 is not Jeremy Irons. I think it's the relationship between Sam Jackson between Zeus, not Jesus, Zeus
Yeah.
and John. But the weakest of the Die Hard movies are typically because of that damn villain.
Sure.
Die
Yeah.
Hard 5 has the worst villain. It's the worst movie.
Sure.
Die Hard 2's villain is not quite clear enough, and that makes it a weaker movie.
Yeah.
I think Timothy Olyphant's very clearly explain what his motives are and why he's doing it and how he's doing it, and that makes him a stronger villain.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, where we are, that's our weakest point right now. I'm not
Sure.
saying we have to solve this right
Sure.
now.
Well, I still really like the idea of them trying to create a narrative and manipulate a narrative. So one of the things that they'd find out about this ultimate plot under a plot is it's not just the bad guys are in the building. The bad guys are also outside with John, because this is a staged scenario.
Mhm.
And our bad guys, they're going to have set up technology. They're going to have set up cameras and stuff like that to see their planted government assassins take out their planted stooge henchmen.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Right. So that they're
I'm
trying to
totally-
create the narrative
Yeah.
of your government is bad. Look what they did. They
Okay. Yeah.
they did too much, and we're going to release this to the world. We're gonna.
No, you got it. Yeah, I think that's it. They're creating that angle
Mhm.
on it. That's what the bad guys are up to. That they're all there to die to make their
Mhm.
cause look good. Like, it's just deep enough that you can still have a whole lot of fun with it. I wouldn't go beyond that. I wouldn't try to scrape into some like political conversation any more than Die
Yeah,
Hard
I
should.
didn't.
Yeah.
I don't intend to like have them be from a specific group
Right.
or anything like that.
Mhm.
They should remain. They should just be labelless or a fictional label bad guy. Right.
Right.
I'm not trying to make a political statement.
Okay.
here.
And I don't think we should. I
Yeah.
think that though there are other movies that are perfectly open to that.
Sure.
I think with Die Hard, first and foremost, it's fun, and we've painted a picture that would be one fun ride of a movie.
Yeah.
But some of the other tropes. So you talked about the technology. So
Mhm.
you kind of delved in that. What are some other Die Hardisms? She has to be the underdog the entire time.
Mhm.
We have put her in a scenario where she's not trained. So I think we hit
Yep.
those. We already know she's a firecracker. She punches Timothy Olyphant as soon as she sees him.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
She's
you're
a McLean.
You are definitely a McLean.
Yeah.
Like there's that
Yeah.
there. I think if we go back to the original, the broken relationship between Holly and John that needs to be resolved by the end is not between her and Matt. It's between her and John. Maybe
Yeah.
they haven't talked in a while. And,
That-
and suddenly
that
he's
makes
there
sense, yeah.
trying to help her. So then even that moment in the first Die Hard where he's bleeding from his feet, he talks to Al and says, "Hey, you need to tell my wife this." And Al's like, "No, don't say that." He's like, "You gotta let me hear. You gotta let me get this out."
Mhm.
Having something in that respect where Lucy's like, "I'm sorry." He's like, "No, don't. We're not having this conversation now. We can have this conversation when you get out. Okay, whatever our conflict was before, like when you get out of there tonight, we'll go." And then we can have this like that.
Okay.
That's where the
So,
broken
yeah,
relationship is. Yeah.
I think I kind of like the idea of it being reversed.
Oh, like he's trying to apologize to her,
Yeah.
and she's like,
And
"No,
she's like,
I don't want to
"There's
hear
no-
this.
there's no time for
Okay,
this."
Yeah, no, that's great. I like that. Yeah, that he's. Oh, you know what? And
Let's put this aside, and Dad, you're going to help me get through this,
Yeah.
and then we'll.
then we'll talk. And even going so far as to him being in a place in his life where he's like, I don't got a lot. I'm not going to be around forever. He's feeling like he's conscious of his vulnerability now, his mortality,
Mhm.
and that.
I still think there's. You're right. It's weak, but I think there is something there of tying the motive of the villains to that flashback to it, right? Like especially by making John reflective at this point, that even more so works that way.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I
I think like given a script like this, and since we have to have Bruce Willis in this, we might as well give him something meaty. The stuff that he even gives a shit about anymore is
Mhm.
like the Wes Anderson movies where he's playing a character